We're recording. All right. We got the amazing Lakia Diggs in the chair. Hey, hey, hey. So, I'm going to start by asking you to tell us, we already said who you are, but what you do.
Okay, so my name is Lakia Diggs, obviously, and I'm a senior cosmetologist and owner of the Kia Experience. We provide hair services, coaching, and strategy and consulting.
Strategy and consulting.
Mm-hmm.
So, explain strategy and consulting for strategy mostly. Tell me about that.
So, we are about making sure that your infrastructure of your salon business or your stylist business is intact before we start grooming into being super great in hairstyling services.
Okay.
So we really just kind of do like a audit of what you need done, meaning your licensing, um, the principle of your business, how you schedule, how you market yourself, all of those entities.
Okay.
So you can start being great.
So how long have you been in business?
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
Okay. So I've been in business for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been styling hair for 22 years.
Okay. 22?
Mm-hmm.
But you only like 15.
I know, and a half.
So tell me some of the struggles of being a mom and running an amazing business.
Let's start. Okay, so I've always, worked for myself. Always worked for myself. So that's all I know is, making it happen by any means. We don't have a guaranteed check. It's just we got to make it happen. And I've always had to think ahead and be super wise about my spending choices and how to save and all those things. And I was young when I had my daughter. I was 17. So, being that young and having to learn really quickly because of the situation you're in, I had to learn very quick. I had no time to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that cushion to, I got room to mess up. It's okay. No, I didn't have that room because I had a kid, number one. And number two, I had a huge clientele at 17, 18, 19. And this is pre-recession. So, money is floating all over the place.
Wow.
So it was, I was very different than your average 18-year-old, 17-year-old, 19-year-old. I lived a very different life. And I had to figure it out. I had no room for trial and error. Not saying I didn't mess up sometimes, but I had no cushion. The cushion was that window was very small. You gotta listen and be a forever student because you never know everything, and it's always something that you can learn and apply.
Wow. So that's good advice to give to like other mompreneurs, being a sponge and that sort of thing. So what other advice would you give to mompreneurs? Like somebody who's starting, like I'm starting a business. I'm a mom, I don't know how I'm going to do it. And then there are naysayers, because there are a lot of times, especially in entrepreneurship, where they just want you to get a good government job. Like, won't you just get that good government job with benefits?
Right.
What would you tell?
See, it's kind of sensitive because, having that safety net of a job, that guaranteed check all the time, it's way different. That lifestyle is way different than someone who doesn't. They're, constantly hustling because they're an entrepreneur. For the mom who is trying to start or just starting, and the biggest thing is balancing everything. And sometimes you got to create a village for yourself because you have to be able to take help. You have to take help, when it's given. And it's hard for us because we like doing things our way. We're so protective of our children. And yes, I'm not saying let anybody around your kids. I'm not saying, like to have your guard down. But you have to create a village You have to create those sister circles, or allow people to rally around you that have your best interests. Create a village, create a system, because you could be solo and you doing everything on your own, but at the end of the day, it's so many things that help run your business that some people don't think about. That's the babysitter, that's the school, that's the mentor, the tutor, the daycare, or the neighbor, someone who's watching your kid because he may be a latchkey kid. The neighbor is looking out the window making sure he got in the house. Like, you gotta really build a village for you and your kids so you can do it right, because you're going to burn yourself out. You will burn yourself out stressing about how you're going to do it like your children before you burn yourself out physically because of your business.
That's a good point. So what would you say to, and this is like an Oprah question, how she's like, what would you say to your younger self? And more importantly, what would you say to a younger stylist? Like somebody that's coming out behind, like, what would you say?
Oh gosh,
I know, and you can think about it.
I know a lot. I would tell a younger stylist to remain teachable. That's the most important thing. Like I said, people tend to think that now that entrepreneurship is more in the forefront of public vision, like you get to see more people being entrepreneurs and more people that may look like yourself doing it. People think because they see the good, they think they can do it. They don't see the background stuff. They don't see the sleepless nights. They don't see all the sacrifices and going broke and eating oodles of noodles, or they don't see the grind. Everybody want to shine like Diddy, but don't want to grind like Puff. And they see all this stuff.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
They don't understand the crawling, the Job moments, all those things that you go through. So I would tell them to remain teachable, always listen, get a mentor. Those are like the most important things I would tell someone. Those. I like
that. So what are you reading? Because you said reading is fundamental. So what are your faves?
Right now, okay, so what I'm reading currently is Rich Dad Poor Dad for like the 12th time. But I always, when I read it again, it's always something else that I pick out. Like, oh, you overlook something in a movie, or right, and you can see it, and then you see it again. It's like I didn't really realize that part, or I didn't take that part super seriously until I read it again. That and 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
Are two things because I've been a solopreneur forever, and still am in many ways.
I'm listening.
Always having to be super strategic about how I operate. For instance, I've been a young mother, and I didn't always have help, so I don't ask for a lot of help because I didn't always have help. So I live like I didn't have anybody.
Right. Okay.
I purposely do that. Like, I live like I don't have no one. Meaning, if I keep that mentality, I'm always going to hustle harder so I can have it before I ever have to ask for it. If you always think about the things that you have or the people you can get it from, how hard are you really going to work? So I always think like that. The same way I wake up every day like the rent due. That's how I go hard. I think about these things every day. And although they may not be 100% correct or true, it keeps me going. So with that, the 48 Laws of Power, it gives you these different things, these different chapters to think about. Like, one of my favorites is despise the free lunch. I don't want to take nothing from nobody for free because I don't want to owe anybody. I don't even want to be indebted to anything, even in service. Not if I don't have to, unless we bartering. That's different. But if I keep that concept, I won't ever owe anybody. And no one can ever say that they did anything for me unless, it was for my greater good.
Right. Okay. That's a good.
And another thing that made me do it was when I was like doing hair, I wasn't always licensed myself. And it's so many people that do things unlicensed, which is fine. Like that's things happen. Like you have families and kids, and you may not have the time or the money to go to school, and life just gets ahead of you. So I was young. I already had a thriving clientele. I wasn't thinking about school. As far as beauty school, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about getting these coins and taking care of this baby and making sure she had diapers and, making sure the bills paid. So, seeing that a lot of young ladies, and then also I tried apprenticeships. I did apprenticeships. I went that route and I wasted 4 years. I did an apprenticeship. It was supposed to have been 2 years. The person who sponsored me did not document my hours. And I was really upset because that was 2 years that I put in. And I tried to do it again, and it happened again.
Are you serious?
It happened twice, and I wasted 4 years.
Wow.
4 years gone. Wow. So because I went through these things really inspired me to do, certain things and do it the way I do it, because I probably went through it myself before, and that's why that's one of the main reasons why I do what I do, because I can relate to anybody, as far as whether they're, asking me to consult or, we discussing apprenticeships. I've been there, so I get it. And, having that paper was the one thing that I felt like was holding me back from certain opportunities. I still had a thriving, clientele. Was able to work in salons, but it was always scary because stay bored. I was afraid of like, oh my God, they come in here, I gotta act like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta put on the front. And I didn't want to be living like that.
So we got all of that. Anywho, so in real life, do you sleep? I'm just asking because I see you on late in the nights and then early in the mornings. I'm like, what the what?
I know. I may sleep around 3 in the morning, 2, 3 in the morning. It depends on how hard my day was. But again, it's always so much background stuff that you got to make sure it's straight. And ever since I got my Better Business Bureau accreditation, I really am a little more thorough with the background stuff, making sure my website is intact. My designer always virtually helps me with the little stuff that I didn't know much about. That way I can maintain certain things on my own and not have to rely on her. So, because she's busy. So I'm a little bit more in tune with the business side of things, making sure I have certain things on auto ship and making sure that like my older clients who may not be savvy as far as operating the internet, putting in their appointments manually. When I'm with clients, say, how was your service on Wednesday? I hope everything worked out well. Would you like to reschedule? All those things. That's what I'm doing late at night, is making sure that my operation is flowing regularly. Because I can't do the clients from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. unless I'm doing the 3 a.m. stuff. So that's more important to me.
Favorite lip, since that's it. Your favorite lip.
I have 2 favorites. Okay. One is the MAC Cyber.
Okay.
That is my favorite because I'm really into darks. I do like reds, but I don't have a favorite red.
Okay.
Like an all-time favorite red. I like most reds. I like more neutral or cool reds. I don't like a lot of warms.
Okay.
I don't like orangey reds.
Okay.
I really want it as cool as possible.
Okay.
But I also like this color called Regina, and it's by Princess M Cosmetics. That's my favorite.
You and Regina.
Lip. Yeah.
You and Regina. Well, mine is Aubrey.
Oh, I love Aubrey.
Mine is Aubrey. Yes, and I'm like,
yeah, I do like Aubrey.
Yes,
I do like Aubrey.
Girl, me and Aubrey have a good old time when we hang out.
I think I do have that.
You had, girl. I love Aubrey.
I think we have almost every one. We love Princess.
Yeah. So I got mine is Aubrey. So I'm addicted to Aubrey. Okay. So I'm gonna give you the mirror so you can see yourself gorgeous.
Dun, 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 dun. First of all, I didn't think I was gonna look any less than this. So I'm like giving it to me. But since we're here, let's bask in this.
Did you say let's bask in?
Let's.
I can't with you.
Yes.
So now
I gotta
we
find somewhere to go tonight. I might find me a huggy.
okay.
No.
I'ma love you on that. Look at that. Good. That's it. You look amazing.